Balake. Where is Balake at?
My name's Blake.
Do you want to go to war, Balake? I'm for real. Ron.
Ron is back, everyone. Welcome back for more SPTV, where every day's a great day not to be in a cult. I feel like I've really been taking it easy this week of Thanksgiving, and it feels good to take it easy because every morning I wake up and I tend to feel very, very stressed about what videos I'm going to get done that day. And I don't know, maybe you guys have noticed that the amount of content lately has been kind of light, and it's been intentional and it feels good. But you know, the first big hurdle of the holiday season is over. That's Thanksgiving. That means now it's Christmas. It is now officially Christmas season. I don't own any red shirts. I don't own any Christmas shirts. I don't have any of those ugly Christmas sweaters or anything. So green is as close as we're going to get to Christmas colors here, folks. And it occurred to me, this is a question that comes up a lot. And I feel like I want to do some more thinking about the question itself. I think there's a lot that we can explore in the answer to this question. But the question is, why do Scientologists celebrate Christmas if they don't believe in Jesus, they don't believe in God, they don't believe in heaven or hell, they don't believe in an afterlife in the way that the world's major religions believe in an afterlife? They do believe in eternal life, they just don't believe in an afterlife. Why do Scientologists celebrate Christmas? I want to answer this question from the perspective of someone who grew up in Scientology, and I also want to differentiate it from another related question, which is, why does Scientology have a cross as a symbol? And let me make a note: Scientology symbol versus cross. Okay, so, and I'm just going to answer this question purely from my personal perspective and experience, even if my own answer betrays an ignorance of the wider world. Growing up, I just thought that everyone celebrated Christmas. Now, if you had asked me even as a child, I probably would have known everyone except Jewish people. Like, I think that's what I thought the two groups were. Jewish people celebrate Hanukkah, and everyone else celebrates Christmas. It wasn't even Jewish people celebrate Hanukkah and Christians celebrate Christmas. It was Jewish people celebrate Hanukkah, everyone else celebrates Christmas. Now, growing up, my best friend was Jewish, and his whole family was Jewish, and they celebrated Hanukkah and we celebrated Christmas. So that's, that's at least how I was as a young child introduced to the concept of Judaism and Hanukkah. As a young child, I wouldn't even have occurred to me to differentiate between like Muslims or anything like that. There was Jewish people celebrate Hanukkah and have the menorah and the dreidel, and everyone else celebrates Christmas and has the trees and the presents. Now, I will say, even in present day, it is my understanding, and please correct me in the live chat if I'm wrong, correct me in any way. I'm sorry, doesn't everyone in the United States who's not Jewish celebrate Christmas? Okay, I understand Muslims are probably not going to celebrate Christmas. I understand there's certain religions, like, and God, you guys know I'm going to possibly get this wrong, but do Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate Christmas, right? They're not allowed to celebrate holidays. Correct me if I got that wrong in the live chat, guys. Do like Christian Scientists not celebrate holidays? I understand there are religious groups in the United States who probably identify as Christian groups who, for whatever reason, don't celebrate Christmas. But one of the reasons I am surprised how often I get the question, why do Scientologists celebrate Christmas, is I go, don't all atheists and agnostics in the United States celebrate Christmas? I do not know anyone in my life, the vast majority of whom I would say are atheists. I do not know anyone in my life who has ever expressed any confusion or conflict about celebrating Christmas, even though they don't believe in God or Jesus. And it's never come up to me, except in the comment section of my videos, people asking, well, I don't understand why Scientologists celebrate Christmas. I go, because the whole country celebrates Christmas unless you're Jewish, is my superficial level answer. So, my mom's family, for example, grew up Christian. My mom grew up going to church. Whenever we would visit our grandma, we'd end up going to church with grandma. So like, my mom grew up celebrating Christmas in a Christian family. But I just grew up celebrating Christmas, but without any involvement in Christianity or church or believing in God or Jesus. And it's probably a good example for, any newcomers to the channel, probably a good example to explain. Scientologists do not believe in a supreme being. And even if there's some little loopholes where some Scientologists will tell you that technically they never relinquished their belief in a single supreme being, even if some Scientologists will claim that, so I'll say, okay, fine. Technically, it is possible to believe in a unspecified supreme being, as long as your understanding of that supreme being is that supreme being somehow created all other beings, and then all other beings together created everything else, which, by the way, is inconsistent with any normal conception of a supreme being. But in Scientology, it is taught that we, as individuals, are eternal spiritual beings, natively godlike and basically immortal, inherently immortal, and that we collectively, as spiritual beings, created the physical universe, everything, time, space, matter, energy, everything. So I always grew up thinking that because L. Ron Hubbard said that we collectively, as individual beings, created everything, by definition, that excludes the concept of a single supreme being. But it's one thing about faith, you guys, it doesn't have to make any damn sense. And I do know Scientologists and former Scientologists who say they always have believed in a supreme being before getting into Scientology, and they never gave up their belief in a supreme being while being in Scientology. And whereas I think that doesn't make any goddamn sense, I can't call those people liars. So my point here is, even if a Scientologist could say that they believe in a supreme being, they're probably full of shit, but even if they could say that, you most certainly cannot believe in something like Jesus or Muhammad or any prophets or any messengers of God, or I'm being inarticulate with my words. And I totally lost my train of thought, you guys. Okay, we're talking about celebrating Christmas. And I'm looking at the live chat as well. I know my point was, even if you can justify pretending that you believe in God, you cannot justify pretending that you believe in Jesus. I don't remember why I was making that point, though. Okay, all Scientologists that I know of in the world, except for the Jewish Scientologists, celebrate Christmas. And none of my time in Scientology did I ever hear a Scientologist question that. I think where I was going with that is, it just seems to me that all the Christians in the United States know damn well that even atheists celebrate Christmas. I'm so surprised how many questions I get about this in my comments section. And for those of you who've wondered about this and who have asked me about it in the comments section, do me a favor and give me a quick little explanation, if you're watching this video, if you see this video on the replay, of what is it that makes you wonder about that when it comes to Scientology. Oh, maybe that's because most people who identify as non-Christian, religious but non-Christian, have some other holiday that they celebrate that would sort of supersede Christmas. And I guess that's kind of what I wanted to go with Scientology. Oh, that's where I was going with this, to explain to the newcomers that it's actually not possible to be a Christian and to be a Scientologist. That was my point. One of the tricks that Scientology tries to play, they're trying to trick the world. They're trying to trick the media. They're trying to trick potential recruits, is that you can be a Scientologist and be any other religion, because Scientology is not a faith-based belief system. It is a technology. It provides tools for handling problems in life, and it requires a way to know yourself better. But by knowing yourself better, you also understand God better. That's all total horseshit. That's all total horseshit. That's some Scientology doublespeak. It is not possible to be a Scientologist and be a Christian. It is not possible to be a Scientologist and be an actual true believing Jew. Although there are a lot of Jewish Scientologists, and the way that works out is just more people who are culturally Jewish. If you were raised Jewish and you get into Scientology, you're still Jewish. And if you're and so it's funny, in Scientology, there are a lot of Scientologists who do identify as Jewish. I will tell you, there are 0 Scientologists I ever encountered who identify as Christian. And the only time you run across that is like celebrities, Scientology celebrities. I think I spit on this. Scientology celebrities like Juliette Lewis and I don't know, did Kirstie Alley ever say this when she was alive? Who actually say that they're Christians. And it's a blatant lie. It's a blatant lie. Scientologists know it's a blatant lie. Scientologists know why the celebrity is lying. Scientologists actually applaud the celebrity for lying because they think they're doing something that's going to create good public relations for Scientology and going to make some religious people more likely to get into Scientology. Now, let's say you truly believe in God and Jesus, and you're a true, honest to God, believing, Bible thumping Christian, and you walk into a church of Scientology. First of all, they're going to tell you right up front that it's not a problem. They're going to tell you that right up front. And certainly at no point in the introductory courses are they going to sit you down and talk you out of believing in Jesus or the Bible or God. But eventually, when you get onto your major Scientology services, there's something in Scientology called mixing practices or engaging in other practices. And eventually it will become a problem. Eventually it will become a conversation that the ethics officer has to have with you. And even if somehow you're able to make it all the way up Scientology's lower non-confidential bridge to the state of clear, even if somehow you're able to do that while retaining a belief in Jesus, you will not get onto the OT levels as long as you convince the ethics officer the only reason that you still go to church is to keep good relations with your friends and your family. And I think if you ask other former Scientologists this question, you'll get a similar answer. I'm curious if anyone else would have a different answer. But you know who'll never give you this answer? A current Scientologist. And a current Scientologist would say that the reason for the discrepancy is that current Scientologists are the only ones telling the truth, and former Scientologists are all lying. When the reality is, current Scientologists aren't allowed to tell you the truth, and only former Scientologists are. So there you go. Now, so there's another question, like I said, related to this, which is why does Scientology use a cross? And it's funny, I was thinking about this today, and there's the way I thought about this and would have answered it when I was in Scientology, and there's the way I think about it and would answer it now. Now, my first answer is Scientology uses a cross to trick people into thinking there's something faith-based or Christian-like or mainstream about the Scientology belief system. Period, full stop. That's why they use a cross. Now, a Scientologist would say, why does Scientology use a cross? And they would go, Scientology's 8-pointed cross represents the 8 dynamics of existence as laid out by L. Ron Hubbard. And the 8 dynamics of existence are the various ways in which a person is trying to survive in life. And the first dynamic is self, and the second dynamic is family, and the third dynamic is groups, and the fourth dynamic is all mankind, and the fifth dynamic is plant and animals, and the sixth dynamic is the physical universe, and the seventh dynamic is spirituality and spirits individually, and the eighth dynamic is infinity or God. And the eighth dynamic being infinity or God is really just sort of a nod to the fact that L. Ron Hubbard recognized that people believe in God and this concept of infinity. And so he had to have that as one of the parts of life that people are involved in. And Scientologists like to point to the eighth dynamic as some sort of proof that Scientologists believe in God. But the proof that they don't believe in God is that they have another name for that dynamic, and that's the infinity dynamic. If you believed in a God, there would be no need to give that dynamic 2 names. So it was more like, we're going to call it the God dynamic because some people go that way, but in Scientology, we think more in terms of infinity and less in terms of a supreme being. Okay. So you'll notice, though, that the way a Scientologist would answer that question is actually a bit of a misdirector. So again, it would go, why does Scientology have a symbol of a cross? And they would go, Scientology's 8-pointed cross means blah, 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 blah. And you go, no, that's why the cross that you use has 8 points. The question was, why do you use a cross at all? And I guess I'll just take this opportunity to explain to any newcomers that in Scientology, the cross has literally 0 significance. There is absolutely no greater meaning to the cross as a symbol in Scientology whatsoever. Therefore, the only reason for Scientology to use a cross is to co-opt the religious symbolism of Christianity and mainstream religion in general. And I think it is incredibly offensive. I didn't think it was offensive when I was a Scientologist, obviously, because I was like, I was like, as a Scientologist, anything that is done or said that creates positive public relations for Scientology, makes people think any better of Scientology, makes anyone in the world more likely to get into Scientology, is considered good. It doesn't matter if it's dishonest or a half truth or a little bit of weirdness here, some slipperiness here. I was like, yeah, we don't believe in this religion shit, but we sort of have to in order to trick people to walk in the door, and then they'll find out what Scientology is, and so it's all okay. Let's see. I lost my train of thought there again, you guys. My God, I'm just like too much turkey yesterday. Okay, I was talking about the difference between how a Scientologist would answer that question. Yeah, that's right. I was that the only purpose of using the cross is basically to trick people and deceive people. And it is almost it also serves another purpose, to sort of be able to use it as a weapon against critics. You're anti-religion. Well, how do you represent yourself as a religion? You have a cross as a symbol of your organization. Here's what's also interesting, and this had never quite occurred to me until I was thinking about this morning. Another reason why it's so silly that Scientology has this cross symbol, because Scientology has another symbol that actually represents Scientology, and it's the S and the double triangle. And I don't have my screen share set up right now, so I don't want to pull it up. But if you guys just Google Scientology symbol, you're going to see an S with two triangles. It's got a triangle on the top of the S and another triangle on the bottom of the S. And that is, to any Scientologist, the Scientology symbol. So then what the hell is the point of having a cross? Most people wouldn't have seen this image, but every now and then, when Scientologists really want to lean hard into the religion angle, they will have some of their members dress up in priest collars and a big silver chain with a big silver Scientology cross. And you would not know the difference between someone dressing up as a Scientology minister and someone dressing up as a Christian minister at first glance. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason Scientology uses the cross. 8-pointed cross or otherwise, it's still a damn cross. And I don't know, for you Christians out there, let me know. Like, does Scientology's explanation for why they use an 8-pointed cross, does that satisfy you in any way? And you're like, well, we don't really own the cross, and the cross as a symbol predated Christianity. I've heard all sorts of explanations. Christians don't really have, ownership of that symbol, and many groups have used that symbol, and it predates it. And technically, the version of the cross that Scientology uses is more like the Rosicrucian cross or something. I'm probably getting the word wrong, but there's some. Let me Google it so I can see the image. There is some type of cross that was a little bit. Let me see. What's the Rosicrucian cross? Is that it? Oh, the rose cross. That's not really it though, is it? Oh yeah, Rosicrucianism, which I don't even know what that means, but that's okay. I don't know. Did Rosicrucianism predate Christianity? I don't know. The rosy cross. Yes, it's an occult symbol. Yes, look at that. If you guys Google rosy cross or rose cross, my God, it looks like the Scientology cross came right from that, and that is an occult symbol. But L. Ron Hubbard never explained it that way in the literature of Scientology. All right, let me Google this. What groups used the cross as a symbol before Christianity? Origin of the cross. The cross is not a symbol of faith, which first appeared after the crucifixion of Jesus, but originated from ancient Babylon. Chaldea was the central territory of Babylon. In Babylon, T, the initial of the name Tammuz, was used as a religious symbol to worship him. But I'll tell you what, if L. Ron Hubbard had ever actually given that explanation in the text, we'd be having a different conversation. But no, as a Scientologist, I always knew we used the cross in order to look churchy, and to be cute about it, we used an 8-pointed cross and said it represented Scientology's 8 dynamics. There you go. It could have been 8 of anything. It could anyway. And so, yes. And as a Scientologist, I would also tell you that I personally would always identify the S and double triangle more closely with Scientology than I would the Scientology cross. Because to me, it was always clear to me, and I'm speaking for myself, maybe for other former Scientologists, maybe would have a different answer. I always identified the Scientology cross as more like, we're being cute. But the S and double triangle, I was like, that's the Scientology symbol, not really the Scientology cross. And I got to tell you, here in Clearwater, Florida, it's a very religious state. It's a very religious portion of the state, very religious portion of the country. The Church of Scientology in downtown Clearwater has a giant, like 400, 500,000 square foot building in downtown Clearwater. That's like 7 stories. And on the tippity top of the building is a tower. And on the top of the tower is a giant cross overlooking basically the entire city. And as you're driving, to Clearwater mainland from Clearwater Beach, you see this giant cross. And I guess this would be a question for Christians in Clearwater, but Christians in general. Would you be horribly offended if you're in this area, you see this giant church, it's got a cross on top, you find out, what is that? Oh, it's a Scientology church. Oh, Scientologists don't even believe in Jesus. In fact, L. Ron Hubbard said that Jesus was an angry pedophile, and that the whole God thing is a myth, and that L. Ron Hubbard is the Antichrist. And of course, we can get into what he meant by all these things. But Scientologists, it's not only that it's incompatible with Christianity, it's anti-Christianity. L. Ron Hubbard said that he is the Antichrist. Now, we can have a conversation as to what he meant by that, because how can you be the Antichrist if you don't believe in Christ or the devil or anything? But if I was a Christian and I saw the tallest, biggest cross in the city was on a church that believes Jesus was an angry pedophile and not the Son of God, I feel like I'd have a problem with that. And yet, for some reason, Scientology has been somewhat successful in making interfaith partnerships with Christian organizations. And it's unbelievable to me. And, maybe one gift this Christmas season would be for people to take the truth about Scientology to any of these Christian groups that have formed interfaith partnerships with Scientology. And try to get the leaders of these Christian organizations that have done this to understand, like, what it is Scientology actually believes about Jesus. What does L. Ron Hubbard actually say about Jesus? What does L. Ron Hubbard say about religion in general? And in fact, in my where I live here in Clearwater, Florida, Pastor Willie Rice of the Calvary Baptist Church did exactly that a number of years ago. He held a very large meeting of about 200 Baptist ministers from all over Florida. And he had put together this amazing informational packet with every quote. I say every quote, like an awful lot of quotes from L. Ron Hubbard, from actual policies and lectures and books about what he really said about religion, all religions, but particularly Christianity and Jesus, and the quotes about the Antichrist and the fifth invader forces and all this kind of stuff. And he did like a 2-day training seminar with all of these Baptist ministers on what Scientology really is and what they really believe about religion and God and Christ, and how he believes that Scientology is truly a satanic force, a work of Satan. And he encouraged all of them to have their first several, ministries or masses or sermons in the new year to be specifically about how it is impossible to be a Christian and a Scientologist, and to beware of anyone who says otherwise, that they are working for the devil and they're trying to trick you. And I was honored to be a guest at this training seminar, and to get up and answer some questions about Scientology. But I'll tell you what, if Willie Rice at the Calvary Baptist Church can do that, a whole lot of other people out there can do that as well. It's been one of the most offensive things to me as a former Scientologist is to see Scientology successfully co-opt leaders of other religious groups, by tricking them and lying to them about what Scientology actually believes. And so there you go, guys. But that's why Scientologists celebrate Christmas, because everybody celebrates Christmas, you guys. To a Scientologist, it is about presents. It's about family. It's about, well, unless you're a staff member, then it's just about worrying about how you're going to get your stats up on Christmas. So I'll tell you, the Christmas holidays are terrible for staff members and Sea Org members because you don't get days off for Christmas. It's not a Scientology holiday. I mean, you don't get days off for Scientology holidays anyway, but it's not some special holiday other than it's almost impossible to get your stats up because so many people cannot come in on course during Christmas. They cannot come in for their auditing session. They've got obligations here and there and everywhere, and it's a nightmare. And there's no allowance in Scientology for the stats to go down because it's Christmas. Every week the stats have to go up, no exceptions, and it is an absolute nightmare. All right, guys, just short and sweet. I guess not that short. We've been going for 25 minutes already. I might do another video today. We'll see. That's all I got for now, guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you, as always, to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right